The topic of today's presentation is consumers' preference for the importance of melon attributes. So first, about introduction. Melons are one of the most popular fresh fruits consumed by Americans. A report from the United States Department of Agriculture Economic Research Service ranked melons as one of the top 5 vegetables and fruits in the United States. The per capita consumption of melons in the United States is about 27 pounds per year and has remained quite stable since 1992. With the growth of public concerns on the linkage between diet and health, consumers care more about the quality of fresh fruits nowadays. The empirical literature on consumer survey revealed that consumers' choice of fruit had become complicated. Consumers' preference for attributes of fresh fruit could highly influence consumers' purchase patterns. So the purpose of this research is to determine what characteristics of melon will affect consumers' perception of melon price. There are 5 factors considered in this study and tested that might have influence on consumers' perception of importance. The first one is freshness. The second one is organically grown. The third is locally grown. Fourth is pesticide-free. Fifth is crisp fresh. By researching and understanding the importance of these factors for consumers, we would like to explore which factor provides most weighted associated with the consumer's perception of price of melon. Besides, we can compare different factors and their importance to the price. Then we could provide some insights for retailers and farmers in the melon industry. Then I would like to talk about the data collection and the characterization. So the data set contains 476 observations with 6 variables measured for each observation. As mentioned above, the data set we are using contains 5 parameters which are considered important toward consumers' perception about the price of melons. So these parameters will be used as our explanatory variables. Researchers at Purdue University created the online survey which then was distributed by Lightspeed GMI to potential respondents that are part of their priority opt-in panel. The survey asked respondents' perceptions towards the importance of freshness, organically grown, locally grown, pesticide-free, crisp, fresh, by asking them to slide the bars from 0, not important, to 100, which means very important. For example, how important is the price when you decide to buy a melon? The importance of each variable ranged from 0 to 100. The sliding bar offers respondents random recommendations and allows the respondents to modify the settings accordingly. These explanatory variables have been measured numerically and take on the following range as Table 1 shows in the PowerPoint. As shown in the Table 1, the importance of price was used as a response variable, which are continuous variable, which means the importance of price, the range is from 0 to 100, and the other 5 variables are predictor variables. And this PowerPoint shows the histogram of 3 variables used in this research. The first one is the histogram of melon price, and the second one is histogram of melon fresh, and the third one is a histogram of melon crisp, which were 3 very important variables used in the final model. Then I would like to talk about preliminary analysis I did before I do the whole research and model for this research. All of the statistical tests conducted during this study were analyzed by RStudio. The first step of data analysis involved the determination of which predictors were likely to have a significant impact on the response variable. To do this, an analysis of variance, which is ANOVA, was conducted and is shown in the Table 2. The Ford model had a residual standard error of 20.68 on 470 degrees of freedom, a multiple R-squared of 0.1259, and was very likely to have a significant effect on the response variable. Overall, it appeared that the importance of fresh explained the majority of the variability in the importance of melon price, and the importance of melon crisp fresh could also contribute significant information. The ANOVA table for the Ford model and the parameters estimates can be found in Table 2 and Table 3. As shown in the Table 2, we can see the p-value for the fresh variable. The p-value is less than 0.001, and for the crisp, it is also significant, and the p-value is less than 0.05. And we can see a roughly estimate for the parameters of 5 variables, including the intercept of the Ford model. For the intercept, the number is about 27. Even though organic, local, and pastitude is not significant, we can see the fresh, organic, pastitude, and crisp were positively influence the consumer's perception of the importance of price, but the local is negatively influence the consumer's perception of price. And then let's continue to look at the preliminary analysis of other parts. For example, the scatter plot matrix and the correlation matrix. A scatter matrix and a correlation table indicated that there may be collinearity between several of the predictor variables, most notably local, organic, and pasty. As shown in the correlation table, the correlation value between organic and pastitude is about 0.65, which is kind of great, and the value of local and organic is also about 0.68, greater than 0.5. This seems reasonable since these 3 variables are all describing the growing types of melons, and some people may not that sure about the difference among them. Then let's look at other part of preliminary analysis. First is Shapiro-Wilk normality test, and the second one is Brown-Frosty test, and the third we will look at the QQ plot of the data set. In order to determine if the assumptions of linear regression were met, which is normality and the constant variance of the residuals, we conduct these 2 tests. These 2 tests assume that assumptions are valid, thus a significant p-value indicates a violation of the tested assumption. Results indicated that at a 95 confidence level, the residuals for the Ford model were not normal and did not have constant variance in this dataset. And when we look at normal QQ plot, we can also see not all points were close to the line. And next one, let's look at the added variable plots. We can see there are some slight non-constant variance of the residuals, and most of the points are distributed flatly along with the horizontal axis except for several outliers way above the normal. And for the fresh and the crisp, the slope is kind of greater than the flat line, and other three variables, they will almost have a flat line in the graph. To determine which variables to include in the final model, the best subset technique was used. 3 models were selected for further analysis based on the resultant. Models having a higher R-squared and adjusted R-squared will also retain a lower AIC, and RMES were selected. When we look at the VIF test, the VIF results for all predictor variable was under 2, so the conclusion was made that there was not excessive collinearity between the predictor variables in the final model. The final model we used was the model with only fresh variable and the crisp variable, which also can be confirmed by the step regression results on the right graph. On the right of the PowerPoint, we can see the final model with only fresh and crisp variables have a lower AIC. So for the final model, we got the results for the final model. We can see here we have an ANOVA table and a parameter table. Both variables, the fresh and the crisp, were significant at least at 0.05, and for the variable fresh, it is significant at the level of 0.001. And we can see the parameter table that the intercept is about 38, and for the fresh, the parameter of fresh is positive 0.3. The parameter for crisp is positive 0.14. And let's look at next PowerPoint discussion. The final model is price equal 37.97 plus 0.30 times fresh plus 0.14 times crisp. The final model had an R-squared value of 0.1192 and a p-value less than 0.001. Melon fresh and crisp are important for consumers, which have an effect on consumers' perception to the importance of price. And the intercept is significant and positive, which means consumers think melon price is also very important, even though other two variables are equal to 0. And the last PowerPoint shows the reference. Thanks for watching.